In 1940, thousands of kilometers from Alsace, at Kufra in the Cyrenian desert, a French officer makes a solemn vow to those who have kept faith with him. I will lead you to Strasbourg. This is not just a voice crying in the wilderness. He does. On the 16th of November 1944, the armored division commanded by Leclerc, now General Leclerc, has to screen the eastern flank of two American divisions moving in an arrowhead formation in the general direction of Strabourg. On the 17th, advancing with irresistible momentum, the French overcome enemy resistance around Badonvillers. One village after another is taken. While a German tank burns, blotting out the sky, the infantry engage in methodical clearing, a dangerous task, all their senses alert and their finger on the trigger. The inhabitants go to ground in cellars. Every house may be a fortress, every window hide a sniper. Little by little, the positions are encircled, the last points of resistance neutralized, and it's a case of unconditional surrender. Hands and pockets are emptied. The man has saved his life. The fighter has had his day. In the liberated village, the inhabitants rush joyfully out of the cellars, while the windows take on a new look. The tanks are under steady attack, but any damage is limited to sorrow at too short a stay. Columns of prisoners, which lengthen from day to day, or even from hour to hour, have to be taken to the rear, to a POW camp as a necessary precaution. The German prisoners are leaving, and the liberated French are returning, which is how it should be. Clearing a village also takes on peaceful forms. Whilst the flood of returning refugees increases, damaged buildings are repaired, German posters torn down, and an abandoned picture of Hitler is dealt with. The civilians have a friendly competition to build a temporary bridge. Time is pressing. The advance continues. Between the 19th and 21st of November, one part of the Leclerc division surprises a crossing on the Marne-Rhine Canal and reaches Saraltroff, north of Strabourg. After overcoming enemy resistance at Niederhof, Naframbourg and Saint-Quirin, the other part reaches the strategic road junction at Rettal in record time. Thus, on the 21st of November, the onslaught of a flood of men and material surges across the Vosges towards the Darboux Gap and the plain of Alsace beyond. This movement is as bold as the one being carried out further south by the army under General de Lattre de Tassigny. These routes are usually considered impassable by armored units. Hidden German detachments fire on our troops, who go on the offensive. A tank enters the forest quickly to support them. ceasefire. The prisoners are rounded up. Women are found among them, Hitler's famous Amazons. While the wounded are given first aid, units regroup to continue their unlikely advance over just as unlikely roads, adding a new page to this epic, which will enter history. From Chad to the Vosges, Leclerc's men burst out of the night, emerging onto the Strabourg plain in a glorious dawn. The general now gives his colonels their core missions. Take Saverne and attack the gap from the rear to make it easier for the 79th American Division to pass. Following the complete success of these operations, some of the forces are held at Marmoutier and the Saverne Gap, whilst others are ordered to forge ahead to Strasbourg. The mechanized columns hurl themselves at the Alsatian capital on several lines of advance. The objective is close, but the sector is mined. The line of forts, stoutly defended by elite units, forces the column to halt. The imperturbable bulldozer finishes its Herculean task of clearance even during the fighting. However, the road through Schiltigheim, northwest of Strasbourg, is open. The first column is committed. It meets only sporadic resistance. Occasionally, civilians are caught in the crossfire as it passes. It literally hurls itself at Strasbourg, paving its way with corpses in an inferno of noise. Just 4 more kilometers, a pathetic obstacle is swept aside without slowing down. At last, here are the outskirts of the Alsatian capital, trembling as the French armor passes. At 10:30 a.m., the city they enter is deserted at first. They are believed to be 40 kilometers away. Their arrival is so unexpected that German officers are killed in the arms of their wives on streets in the heart of the city at midday. As soon as the success of the leading elements is reported, the units stopped in front of the line of resistance are given the order to disengage immediately and regroup via the free route as quickly as possible. At the same time, at the former German HQ, General Leclerc receives the surrender of the local commander, General Vaterroth, capturing him and all the documents in his possession. While the tricolour replaces the swastika, while the crowd of prisoners grows incessantly, Strasbourg becomes French again. There is no longer any place for a Hitler square here. Timidly, not daring to believe that they have been liberated, the people venture into the streets. Flowers appear. The glorious names of France replace the last vestiges of the occupation. The first French newspapers go like hotcakes. The swastika is burned on a celebratory bonfire. And now the grand finale. On parade in Kleber Square are the units which have once more covered themselves in glory. The national anthem, a song born in this city, bursts forth with indescribable enthusiasm. At the same time, fighting is continuing in the direction of Kehl. The sound of gunfire close by punctuates the verses of the Song of Victory. But for the first time for months, the citizens of Strabourg do not flee into the cellars. Forgetting the possible danger, they have but one thought, expressing their joy and admiration for the man who has restored the tricolour to the traditional Alsatian headdress. We have kept faith with the spire of your cathedral and kept the oath of Kufra. The end.